Hi, Woody. How are you today?
Hi, I am great. How are you?
Great. Happy to be here and loving how official you look with your whole setup.
Well, you know what? I want people to take me seriously, so I figured if I put fake equipment around me, then people would listen.
Okay, well, let me know how that works. Actually, I have
It's
a
all real. It's all real.
I have one too I could work with, but this
There you go.
isn't set up. Okay, so this is exciting because on this podcast, I have been interviewing people I know.
Mhm.
And they're either clients or just people that we know. And to be honest with you, other than your email signature and that you're friends with Jam, I know nothing about you. So go ahead and tell us.
Well, I just give you the spiel from, what I normally tell people. I started my career on Wall Street, worked on the trading floor for Payne Weber, dealing in bonds, transferred to the retail side, working with consumers or just regular investors. Didn't like either of that. I was out in California, so I went to work for a Silicon Valley startup by the name of PeopleSoft. Learned a lot about startups there, how they're VC funded, how they really grow and scale and create jobs. Left that to start my own healthcare technology company called Flavor RX. We flavored medicines for children so they're more compliant. We grew that from one pharmacy to 40,000. It was venture funded, and we sold it to a private equity group in 2007.
Amazing. And
In
congrats.
2008, there was this thing called the Great Recession. And Washington, D.C. was looking for jobs. People were losing businesses and homes. I was living in D.C. at the time. And I said to my friends from Silicon Valley, I said, we know how to build businesses, we know how to create jobs. So part of the problem is we can't get capital to these startups. And if we can get capital flowing, then we can get job creation. So we wrote a framework for what's called investment crowdfunding. So it takes the principles of Kickstarter and Indiegogo and applies it to early stage venture capital and says rather than VCs and rich people only being allowed to invest in startups, let's allow your friends, your family, your community, your customers. And because I was in DC, I was able to walk the halls of Congress with my friends, and we were able to build bipartisan support. Uh, a, 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 a representative from North Carolina, Patrick McHenry, became our champion, and he took our framework and introduced it into the committee, called a hearing. The White House had someone at that hearing. The White House called me and said, President Obama is very interested in what you're doing. And I hung up. They called back and said, we're really calling from the White House. And got the White House on board with what we were doing. We
Amazing.
did all the lobbying in the House and the Senate. It passed 407-17 in the House, 73-26 in the Senate. And then we got to go to the White House and be there as President Obama signed our idea into law. That's now created this industry called regulated investment crowdfunding. And any startup can now go online onto platforms, otherwise known as websites, that are registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission and raise up to $5 million from their friends, their family, their communities. Over $3 billion has been raised since 2016 when it started. There's been 8,300 companies that have used it. They've done 10,000 rounds of financing, and we've done a lot in this space. We are analysts for the companies, which is how we're going to talk about how AI plays into all of this. I wrote a book about this whole industry called Investimers, and it's like a deep dive into my brain on how this whole industry is evolving. And so now, yeah, so it's really cool.
Wow. Wow. And if you had told yourself 15 years ago this is where you would be right now, would you believe it?
Not 15 years ago, not even 90 days before it was signed into law.
Wow. Okay, so then, but you're in Denver now.
Yeah.
And what brought you from DC to Denver?
Well, if you live in DC, you get tired of what they call inside the Beltway. It's all politics. There's a lot of backstabbing. It's just a known way that people get along, and they do it.
Surprising.
They do it with a smile. You just know that you're supposed to stab people that you like in the back, and it gets old.
Yeah, fair.
And so I just, I left that for. Miami.
Okay.
And I
That's a
went
big jump.
to a wonderful place where it was beautiful to live, and I felt like I was on vacation every day. But there you move from the opposite, like DC was beautiful people, ridiculously smart. I've never been around a more successful, driven group of people my entire life,
Wow.
period.
Inspiring.
Miami was beautiful people that were going nowhere in life. And
But having
so
fun while doing it.
but yeah, listen, you know what? You live there to have fun. You don't live there to build businesses per se. I think it's things have evolved. Miami's trying to become a startup hub, and I think they've made great strides in doing that. But I got married. We decided to have kids, and I wasn't raising kids in Florida.
Okay. Okay. And then going back to the company that you sold that made medicine taste good for kids,
Mhm.
have your kids been able to I mean, have you seen your kids use that, do that?
That's you're the first person to ask me that, and they know Daddy created this company called Flavor RX. Um, we've been in pharmacies where like you see that over there, that's the company that Daddy started before.
Don't really care,
But
do
they've
they?
never needed it.
Great. Good for you.
Yeah. Well, I forced the medicine down my kids' throats.
Yeah, like a good parent.
Yeah, like
No,
yeah,
I
exactly. Like those parents that struggled before it, no, 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 no. They had it all wrong. No, I'm just kidding. I don't
well,
struggle. I don't force my kids, but they've luckily, knock on wood, they have not been challenging to get to take medicine.
well, and everything you said, like I love hearing people's stories and kind of their evolution. And like some of our members and our listeners know that my daughter was diagnosed with leukemia in February, and
Really
we are just like we are pushing every type of tasting medicine down her throat. So when you said that, I was like, I'm gonna have to look into that. But yeah,
seriously, go to CVS, Walgreens. King Super has it here in Denver.
yeah, I'm definitely
So
looking into it. Very
yeah,
cool. Okay, so you and Jam, you guys know and love each other in the real world. Yeah, she's great.
she's one of my favorite humans. So she's watching. Jam, this is for you.
If you're not watching, it's a heart. Um, no, yeah. And this is a really cool podcast because as much as we want to talk about like AI and all things AI, it's really more the exploration of people's businesses, right? And like how their stories have evolved and what everyone's day-to-day looks like because they're all so vastly different. So I mean, you gave us a pretty high level story. Hey, this is my background, but like let's narrow it down a little bit and tell us a little bit about like what does a day-to-day look like for you? And if that includes AI, great. And if that includes, whatever else, cool too. I'd love to hear it.
Well, I wake up at 5:30 in the morning. No, I'm just kidding. I do wake up at 5:30 in the morning and start my day.
For
And
you.
I'm one of these people that's like the living dead. Like I wake up and I'm like, let's work. It's
At
amazing.
5:30.
At
You're ready to go
5:30
at
a.m.,
5:30. Good for
ready
you.
to go, ready to go. But the flip side of that is at 9:30 p.m. I power down and I just shut down and fall asleep.
I mean, same with my 2-year-old, actually. You guys are on
Yeah.
the same schedule. I need
Yeah,
to
I
get
love it's
there.
like it's great. It's a great, well, it must be tough for you if your 2-year-old gets up so early, but um
So you get up at 5:30, you're like
uh,
ready. You don't even need your coffee. You're just already ready to go.
no. Everything that we do here at Crowdfund Capital Advisors is an umbrella for um, everything that we do in crowdfunding. And so within that, we've got these vertical companies that we run. One of them is the data itself that we collect on all the companies. And so that's an entire business called C-Clear, where we do research and we do analysis, and we write reports and we publish those reports and we send them out to people in the financial industry, asset managers, venture capital, angel investors, people that want to understand, I want to invest in some of these businesses. Where do I find them? Or, what are best practices for putting one of these offerings together if you're an entrepreneur? That's C Clear. We have a venture fund called D3VC, which is an early stage venture fund. And in that, we look for the companies that we believe are going to be the most successful. and we make investments in those. And then we've got another company called Guard, which helps companies that are private. So you've got private companies and public companies. Private companies don't really have exits until they go public or they get acquired. Guard helps private companies sort of trade their shares if you issue shares on these alternative trading systems. But with CClear, with CCA, with CClear, and with D3VC, AI is an integral part of our entire day. Like
Well,
with a CCA, when we're talking about the reporting that we're doing, we are using AI to help us speed up the reporting. So, for instance, we have a weekly tear sheet, we've got a biweekly report, a monthly report, an annual report. Mainly with our monthly report. It's a very standardized report, but the numbers change. You know, you've got new issuers coming in, so people want to know the change, has the industry grown? Has money gone in? Where's it gone? So the data changes, but the format's the same. So we have programmed our monthly report into a bot. And every month I say to the bot, okay, let's get started on the monthly report. And I was like, feed me the questions you need to get the answers for to write the first section on capital flows for last month. And it asked me the questions. I go into the database, and I'm sure I'll evolve myself to be able to figure out how to connect the database into the AI so I don't actually do this part. But, and I'm sure you know this as well. AI is good for me, it's good for 80% of the job, but that last 20% requires that I am reviewing it,
of course.
correcting it, because
Yeah.
a lot of times it'll make assumptions or that hallucination where it's like things are great, and I was like, well, that's actually not that great.
Yeah.
And so
Sure.
you have to use it as a tool to help you speed up what you're doing. Like, so that monthly, just let's put it in perspective, that monthly report used to take me 2 full days to do.
That was going to be my question. What did you do before AI?
Yeah, I sat down and I literally spent 2 full days writing a 10-page report. And now I get the whole thing done in 2 hours.
So, what are you doing with that extra time?
Well, we're running these other businesses,
Yeah, what
so
extra
it
time?
gives me it gives me more time to focus on other things. Like, so I just gave you the example of how we're using AI for that. But I published a book, Investimers. Okay, it's actually a series. The the big book, the 400-page book. It's a deep dive into the industry, and then I've got a 150-page handbook for really entrepreneurs that want to raise capital and what do you need to know about this industry. Not every day, but every week, I use AI to help me come up with TikTok scripts
Awesome.
to then look into a camera and sound like me. And actually, the AI is great because it's learned my voice, so it can
Yeah.
speak in my voice, and it helps me come up with scripts that are unique and different, but talk about a different aspect of the book. And then I create these TikTok videos, and then I use um, CapCut, another tool, to put the videos together, and I publish TikTok videos. But if I didn't have the AI, I'd be sitting there going, well, how do I come up with a script for this? Or what, AI was great. I was just like, give me a list of scripts that you think would be beneficial for people that are going to be watching me on TikTok to hear. Um, so that's another thing I've been able to do
I mean, yeah, you saved yourself another 2 days right there.
easily. I am doing 500 million things right now
It
in an
sounds like
hour.
it.
I
It sounds like
mean, and you know who helped me do it? Jam.
it. Aw, no surprise there. So, okay, so now that you are using AI and you're starting to automate some things and you're starting to explore these efficiencies, you obviously have filled your time with other things, right? And talk to me a little bit about the things that you haven't yet automated.
Yeah, well, that's what we were talking about is how, what's that next step where I figure out how to connect the database to the AI so that it can do the analysis that I want, but keep the data proprietary. Like, I
Yeah.
don't want to lose anything out there on the internet. So you have
Yeah.
to be careful about what you share with AI as well. Like I don't want to give it the keys to the kingdom. But I think there's so many things that could help speed up what I'm doing in terms of the marketing that we need to do. With our database, we're trying to figure out how do we get in touch with people who buy data on early startups. And so we've been going through this with AI back and forth, trying to find out the solution. Because the problem is, it used to be you had a salesperson that met with an individual at a company and sold them something. Then we migrated to the internet where you had the companies putting products on the internet that they were trying to get in front of people at companies to buy.
Yeah.
And so that human interaction of touch sort of was removed. Now we're at this next evolution where people are consuming information through social media, and that's how they're making their decisions about whether they should be buying things. You can't get in touch with anyone anymore. Nobody wants to talk to you. And so it's just very hard figuring out how do I get in touch with individual people don't pick up the phone, period. People don't read emails, period. There's spam filters for everything for text messages. I mean, so, you know, AI needs to solve my problems, and I want the solution now.
Yeah, I mean, of course you do. Of course you do.
No,
So,
it's a partnership, and so we are collaborating on these things and coming up with new ways of trying to get messages out there. And actually, this is so cool. So I thought I knew AI like I thought I'm pretty proficient at it. But the other day, my friend Andy's talking to his phone, and the phone's talking back to him. I'm like, "What are you doing?" And he said, "What do you mean? What am I doing?" He's like, "I'm talking to ChatGPT," and I was just like, "Wait." How are you doing that? Like, I didn't know about those three little dots at the
mind
bottom.
blown.
And so when my spouse was in an Ironman this weekend, and so up in Boulder, and so
Cool.
we were
Congrats.
trying, yeah, oh yeah, very, very impressive. I can run around the corner, and that's about as far as I can go. I
I
can
can't.
swim probably a few strokes,
Oh my gosh.
and I can bike a little bit, but don't put me in a race.
No.
Not,
My
not,
father does like the double Ironmans. He's been on this podcast and I don't get it. I'm like, what? Why? I don't
that's
understand.
That's crazy.
So good for these people. I'm glad
Yeah,
they
good for
exist. We
them.
need
Right.
all kinds to take spin the world.
But on my drive back from Boulder, I had, 30 minutes without the kids in the car because he took the kids. And I had a chat with ChatGPT about how do we crack this nut? Like, how do I get in front of them? And ChatGPT was just like, listen, let's go over the things that you publish. And we went over all the different reports and everything. And I don't remember the guy's name, but he was just like, this Capital Pulse report that you've created that looks at the top companies every week. That's a signal that people typically buy. And I was like, okay, great. Well, I have the report. Nobody's buying the report. So what am I doing wrong? He's like, well, your marketing is off. And I was just like, yeah, well, nobody's checking emails anymore. What do we do differently? And so he had this idea, which I'm going to try, which is create a Substack channel.
Cool.
And I don't know anything about Substack, but guess who's going to walk me through the whole thing?
AI, obviously.
AI,
Yeah.
exactly. And so I have an intern starting for the summer right now. And part of that intern's job is going to be getting this whole Substack channel up and running and then having these reports go out there and then making so much money that I can support Jam.
All right, cool. I'm all for it. So, okay, so that's like I feel a tiny glimpse into your let's say 4 to 8 month goals. Tell us a
Mhm.
little bit more about like what does the next few months look like for you in an ideal world?
Um, I love AI, but it has made, like at night, I crash because AI enables you to do more, but doing more is exhausting.
Of course,
um,
yeah.
because you just have so many things that you can do with AI that you want to do it all. So I am if you were to look at my computer screen, you would see like different chats open for different things that I'm working on, at least 12 of them. And I am hitting each of them and using it all. And so, I need to figure out how to better use AI so that I can do more without being so exhausted.
Okay, well, let me know if you figure that out. But something and I talk about this a lot on here is just it's this idea that when Jam started Jam Out AI, her idea was let's use AI to make more time to be human. And and I love that so much. And we often see kind of this, I like to refer to it as this like black hole of information, right? Like you can just have so much content. You can have so many conversations and so many ideas and so many, and it's like, what is it if you're not actually using it? And we still have to be human and we still have to use it. Um,
Yeah.
and finding out that balance is something I think we're all kind of exploring as we dig into AI as a society.
But don't you think one of the coolest things about it too is we have these conversations with AI, and like, at least for me, there's a lot of aha moments for which I'm going around talking to everyone else about what those aha moments are. I was just like, I was having this conversation with AI and this is what it said. What do you think about that? Like, it has opened up the door for me
Totally.
to have interactions with other people to get their feedback on some of these ideas that I'm getting through AI. So it's
So
created
much of it,
interaction.
totally, so much of it has created these human experiences for us that we wouldn't have otherwise had.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, this is cool too because on these podcasts we talk to people that they're like, yeah, I started using ChatGPT the other day. And then we talk to other people that are like, yeah, I want to become an LLM expert. And then we talk to you who are like, yeah, I'm running 4 businesses because I'm able to streamline 2 of them with AI. I kind of paraphrased, but what if you had to pinpoint like how you want to shift your working relationship with AI in the next few months, what do you think that looks like? Specifically, though.
Um, hmm. I love the question. I just haven't had much time to think about what I would do in that area. Just because here's the thing, like I use it in personal life. Like we're going to Japan this summer. The entire trip from the cities we're going to the amount of time we're spending in them, to what we're seeing there, to the hotels that we're staying in, to recommendations for things to do, has been planned with ChatGPT.
Of course.
I took, there's a great board on, so, this is what you learn to do. I'm on part of this amazing Facebook group called Japan Travel and Tips. They get, you know how that you might get 2 updates on a Facebook group a day? This one gets over 200 a day.
Ugh.
And so I was just like, this is a gold mine of information that I could never go through.
Yeah,
So I fed all that information into a project I created for
beautiful.
our vacation, and then I gave it instructions. I was just like, tell me the top 10, the best hotels in each of these cities for families with little kids. And so back to your question is how will you use it to, get things done better? I don't know because I'm using it too much.
No, we feel you, and it's kind of like, how did we plan travel before AI? How did
Right.
we send emails before AI? And it just started, so it's a little scary. Okay, one last question for you. If
Mhm.
What would working smarter, not harder, not I take that back. I don't want to say what would because I feel like you're doing it. So what does working smarter, not harder look like for you in your business outside of this, like the example that you already shared with me on the data?
I mean, it's immediately trying to recognize is the thing that I'm about to work on going to take me an hour to do? If so, is AI something that can streamline my ability to do that? If so, let's go to AI. I mean, I literally just had an issue where we have to print envelopes in a printer. Okay.
That's
Print
so
envelopes. Something
2006.
people were probably very proficient at doing 5 years ago. And I looked at, my assistant and I went, I haven't printed an envelope in ages. And we're in a corporate building here. And so I was just like, and that's not like a little, do-it-yourself printer. And I was just like, this is a rabbit hole. I was just like, go to ChatGPT, look up the name of the printer and find the instructions for how to print an envelope.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. I have no idea how I would even go about it. So like be smart about if things are going to take you a long time, immediately go to AI. And I am shocked at how many of my friends have not gotten there. We just we painted our house and the paint colors essentially were narrowed down by AI.
totally.
And then I went and got them and painted and I painted. I was just like, are you kidding me? This is too gray. I want a light gray. I mean, it needs to be offset from the white. And I got the like a color that when I looked at it, I was just like, this is essentially looks white to me. But when I put it on the wall, it was gray.
It nailed it for you.
And again, like I could have hired someone to do that, but I did it with ChatGPT.
And probably in
So
5 minutes.
well, I would love to do analysis paralysis. So
Okay, I lied to you. I said that was my last question, but I have another one for you.
yes.
And it's more of like a personal philosophy question.
Mhm.
So you have multiple businesses, you've had multiple businesses, and in JAM, the JAM methodology is just start, automate, and monetize. And I dig into this idea of just starting a lot because I think, back to your point of paralysis, I think a lot of people are just kind of like stuck on perfection or stuck on ideas or the what ifs or we need. So talk to anyone who's listening who really just kind of needs that push on just start the business, start the dream. Like, what is your kind of personal philosophy on that?
So I've been very fortunate in my career to be surrounded by a lot of people that have helped me both physically, mentally, emotionally, um, you know, brainly. I don't even know how you say that. And one of the things,
Brainly.
brainly, I just came up with that. I'm trademarking it. Nobody take it. Um,
Think you're good
but
there.
my kids, I talk like this to my kids. They're like, "What are you talking about?" And I was just like, "It's smartness, okay." Um, the one, so I belong to this group called Entrepreneurs Organization, and Entrepreneurs Organization teaches you about how to scale a hyper growth startup, which is what FlavorX was. I mean, we were just growing like mad, and I was young. I didn't have all that information or knowledge, and it was workshops. It was weekly. It was monthly meetings. It was annual summits globally that I would go to and learn about, best practices in starting, scaling, and growing a business. One of the things that they taught me that it's become ingrained in me. And I tell people this all the time is you've got an idea. Okay. The reason that that might be holding you back is there's a lot that you probably need to do. And that fear is keeping you from either figuring out where you need to start, what you need to do, how you're going to get it all done. And what EO taught me is take anything that is holding you back and then break it up into 100 little tasks. And the whole point being is and do one task a day. And after 100 days, will have completed what it is that you were trying to do. And what they were getting at is that very first task will be coming up with the overreaching things that I need to do. Then tomorrow, I'm going to come up with the things underneath that and break it up. So then you're like, okay, I can do this. Today, I just need to come up with 10 things. And then tomorrow I need to come up with, 10 things under those. And I've got my, 100 things I need to do for the next 100 days. What is that? We've already done 2 days worth. What's the third day? It's that whole thing of breaking it down, making it actionable, and and when I say making it actionable, making it so that you can get it done in one day. Like a lot of people fear doing things because like this is going to take too much time. You're right. Anything good, it's going to take a ton of time and energy and effort and even money. But if you break it down into little pieces, you can probably get something done in 5 minutes and be like done for the day. And maybe you want to do another thing because you're like, that wasn't so bad. But that's the point, is just break it down and do little bits at a time.
Cool. Thanks. And I'm excited to kind of reflect on that and what that means for me and what I need to break down. So thanks for sharing that. All
Yeah, definitely.
right. Well, thank you so much for this. This was fun, and I feel like I know you better now. And I'll be sending some follow-ups on security and automations and some other things you noted. And we look forward to following your journey and seeing where you are with AI in the next year or so.
I love it. Listen, I love everything that you guys are doing. It is the future, and I'm happy to be sharing my little part of it.
Well, you're doing a lot. You're doing big things. Thanks so much, Woody.
Thank you.
Have a good
Okay,
one. Bye.
bye.